So the other day I dropped the motor back in and I wanted to just put the 12 valve head on it so I can keep mopping it up. But I need to get the correct head on it so that way I can keep fabricating and I can put all of the fuel system and the brackets on so that way I can make sure clearances are correct. So finally I got my head back. Use a machine shop out by me, M&M Machine. If you guys are near the Northeast Pennsylvania area, hit him up. He's awesome, does great work. Got all new Maui valves, Hamilton springs, Hamilton tool steel retainers. Cut the valve seats down, decked the head. Came out really nice finish on this. Pretty sure that head's gonna put up with some pretty high RPMs and deal with some good abuse. So before I get any further and keep fabricating the compound kit, I need to just pull this head off. We're gonna get the head studs in it and get it head torqued down and, you know, on the block for good. So let's get that thing torn off and get this motor top end all set together. So if you guys know anything about 6.7, you know that grid heater nuts are a problem. So ICT Billet stepped up to help me get an aluminum CNC intake plate with a grid heater delete. It's going to look awesome on here and make sure we're never going to have to worry about that. And that's never going to be a problem again. So we got our ICT billet plate on there, we got the fuel rail, we're going to throw the valve cover and the upper valve cover on there so that way everything I put when the turbos are on there, I can make sure it all lines up. BD diesel exhaust manifold 3-piece with a wastegate mount from Bless Performance. Start it up here for mocking up again. High pressure turbo is going to be a 6670 from VS Racing. Now we have to build our piping to our low pressure turbo, which we're going to set out here. So I'm going to get the cherry pick over here, we're going to hang that, try to build a mount to it so we start fabricating our hot side piping going to it. So a little bit of thinking and a little bit of figuring out, I've made a small mount that goes from a turbo oil drain adapter that mounts to my bottom motor mount bolt over there. I have my low pressure turbo pretty well mounted for now, and it's going to feed into my high pressure turbo with a small elbow going in there. So we're going to start working on our hot side piping using some Schedule 10 stainless. I've already welded this elbow to the high pressure turbo. And approximately, we're going to be mounting this elbow to there. And it's going to feed the hot side into here with a small V down there right there. So I'm going to set the bandsaw up and I'm going to cut about a 5/8 inch piece so that way we can keep trimming and making this fit. Got the old Harbor Freight bandsaw set up here. Got a special blade I bought for just stainless. So I'm making some headway here. I got a turbo mounted, and I took a 90-degree elbow that was welded to a V-band flange right here, a small 5/8 spacer, another 90-degree that's welded there, and now we're clocked pretty close to where this is going to line up. This is a V-band to T4 flange that I picked up. That way I can remove this whole pipe as one piece. So it looks like right now, I measured that, I have about a 5-inch gap here, and we're going to cut another piece of stainless, and we're going to get a 5-inch piece here, and we're going to tack that in. So the old bandsaw cut me out a little 5-inch piece here. So my flange, I have a V-band to here, and we're going to be welding to there. So that way this and this pipe are completely separate. So it'll just pop on, pop off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld this pipe to that flange first. So that way I can get this nice and flat over on the bench on the turbo. And then we're going to weld this to that. Because this is going to be a floating weld. It's going to be pretty challenging. I need to get clearance for the V-band. I need to leave it clamped to the turbo. So we're going to weld this to there over on the bench, get that all set, and then we're going to make that pipe fit that pipe. So I'm no professional welder, but I can make two pieces of metal stick together and make them look pretty decent. So what I like to do is I take a piece of TIG wire, bend it in a V. I can set my flange on that and get myself centered on the flange because I need to relieve room to get the V-band clamp around this gap here. This is Schedule 10 stainless. So we're gonna get this tacked up with it floating in the air, and then we have that small gap to fill, which is perfect. And then we're gonna fully weld this with it purged V-band clamp to the turbo. I'm set up over here on the bench. I got it set up to purge. Probably gonna run 10-15 CFM through it. It's gonna be pretty tight to keep getting in that gap. But I gotta keep clearance for the V-band, so I have to do it with the V-band on, I gotta keep it square. Piece of the puzzle is going to be welding this flange to our elbow that we've already made, so got our purge going and get ready to weld it. We got our hot side pipe fully welded out. Let's see if she lines up. lines up pretty good. Pretty happy with that. So we're gonna tack weld our mount to our brace just for extra bracing. Right now it's being supported by the V-bands on this side and I need a little bit more support than that. So I'm gonna make the interstage boost pipe now. It's just gonna be a piece of 3-inch aluminum right there. Go from there to there. Locked our elbow down. So this is gonna get welded into the V-band right here. Get her cloth and get her lined up. And your trimmers. Get it out. Okay. Pipe. Now work. And that is interstage boost and hot side pipe complete. And I'm going to tear this all back apart and I'm going to weld the wastegate flange to the manifold so that way I can get the wastegate wide built into the pipe. So our BD manifold has a wastegate flange. I welded on for our VS Racing wastegate. Let's get that manifold thrown back on and reassemble this so we can start locking up the wastegate. So you can see down in there, we have our wastegate, and we need to tie our wastegate from there to there. So the plan is with the wastegate right down there, I got an elbow coming up, and we're gonna tie it in to this elbow right here. So we're gonna go from here to here. So I got to get a piece cut, ground, and fit to go right there. So I've been working on getting this wastegate formed up over here, and it's been pretty much of a challenge, but I think I got the fitting pretty good. So I have a 60mm wastegate to the bottom of the manifold. It's a 2.5-inch pipe with a V-band right there, another V-band to remove it, and then I've put a hole through our V-band flange going to our atmosphere turbo. And it's taken me a long time, but I got that piece to fit in there pretty nice. So that's basically going to be the entirety of the hot side piping for this. I'm going to weld this with it on the car, so that way there's very little chance for warping, because I really want this all to stay where it is. So I'm going to bring the welder over here, and we're going to try to get this mostly tacked up on the car and keep it clamped, try to really reduce some warping, because I really want these V-band flanges to hit each other. bring this over to the bench. I'm just going to take this flange off the turbo and leave anything else. As usual, I'm pretty bad about recording what I'm doing, but I got that pipe fully welded out. Took a while. We're just letting it cool down now, nice and slowly. Worked out pretty good. Welds came out pretty nice. Hopefully these V-bands still line up, but I think we did pretty well. I don't think we're going to have too much warping here. Alright, I got the turbo thrown back up here, and it's mounted solid, nice and secure. Compressor housing is loose, but very happy with how that came out. I ended up all 3 V-band flanges still lined up, so for my first turbo fab, I'm pretty pumped with how that came out. Got the wastegate down in there. We have V-bands on everything, so it's easy to work on and easy to take apart. Everything snapped together when I reassembled it, so very happy about that. So now I have, the next pipe is going to be our compressor outlet from the high pressure turbo. I run a water to air intercooler over here. So we're going to go from this inlet to that outlet. So I think, just to keep it really simple, I picked up one of them Amazon special intercooler piping kits. So off the high pressure turbo, we're just going to run a 90 with a straight boot, a 90-degree boot right here, and that essentially just leaves us a straight shot from boom to boom, and that's it. Eventually I'd like to remake that and make that out of one piece, but for now I really think that's just going to be the simplest way to do it. I mean, I got to still fully mount the intercooler here and just, you know, finalize it, make sure it's going to sit nice, but that's just one pipe. I'll have clearance to here. You know, I don't see anything wrong with that. So I'm gonna go mock some things up and finish tightening down the intercooler, and I think we can get this turbo kit basically finished today. As simple as that is, I don't think that looks terrible. One day I'd like to make that entire pipe with that 90 out of aluminum, but for now, I think that's just gonna do it. I mean, I don't really see a reason to go too much crazier than that. I think this pipe needs to get kicked back a little bit. We'll slide it out of this boot. But essentially, that's done. So the last one that we have is from our China Special intake here. We come out of our charge air cooler right here. So the way I did it initially is I had a 90-degree boot, and I had this pipe that I had made, which went to the 12-valve intake. So we're just going to remake this, and we're going to come from here to there, and that's the entirety of the turbo kit. Alright, so now I have to get the intercooler pipe to come from the outlet here. I'm going to use a 90-degree boot coming off the charge air cooler, and we're going to feed into the intake manifold right here. I have a 3-inch to 3.5-inch V-band, so I think we're just going to cut this weld off here and get that V-band welded onto there. So I got the V-band welded on there. I'm going to put this back on, and then we can start making the pipe to fit to here. So now I got the V-band welded onto here. I'm letting this cool down completely, hopefully not warp that V-band out. And we'll get this bolted back on the edge, and that is basically the entire turbo kit done. So with that fully welded, I think we're good to install it. Threw that 90 boot on there. Clearances look good, nice and straight. Pretty happy with how that came out. So basically that's the entire turbo kit done. Now that this is all figured out with the turbo kit, I'm going to disassemble everything and reassemble it with all the bolts and all the gaskets for final assembly. This was all just temporarily put together, missing bolts and gaskets just to hold everything lined up. So I've gotten the motor mostly all together here. I mean, everything's all looking really good, but we're still missing something up here. And today, Mr. UPS finally came in. Sent these out to industrial a couple weeks ago. Set of stock injectors. I had new nozzles put on. They're now 150% over. All 6 were balanced. Should be all set to go. We got a flow sheet in here for our tuning. 68 liter per minute injectors. These things are gonna flow some fuel. So with 12mm CP3, these injectors for those nozzles, this should be pretty rowdy setup. So let's finally get this top end done. I still gotta do the valve lash. Gotta put the Hamilton push rods in there. We're gonna throw the injectors in there and finally get the overhead on this motor gun so we can finally get this thing sealed up. So gotta crank this out, throw those injectors in, throw the push rods and everything on the top end on, and top end motor's done, and this thing's almost ready to run. All right, well, I kind of fought getting that valve cover on. The clearance is crazy back there, but that's the injectors done. So I'm really basically done with this thing, which is pretty awesome. I'm down to throwing the intake back on it, and we're gonna get going on wiring this. So this is looking fantastic. Loving it. Well, it's coming up in the next video. We're gonna have this thing as a running driving car. I got some stuff I want to show you guys with the wiring harness and everything. I've just gotten back from Summer Nats. As you can see, there's a little bit different paint and everything on here, but this thing is gonna be awesome. I hope you guys are enjoying the series. Like and subscribe. Next video is going to be how to make a CM2100 ECM work as a standalone, and I don't think there's a video out there on that yet. So stay tuned. Lots more to come on this.